Well, good afternoon, John.
Well, hello.
How are you?
We are great, thank you very much.
So this, I think, is our first video back since Christmas and New Year and all that fun stuff.
It is, and look, the sun is genuinely shining.
It's actually shining, and we're not just...
We're not just saying that this
time. Did you have a lovely Christmas?
Yeah, it was great.
Good,
yeah.
Good.
Pleased to get back to work, though.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
But I was given a challenge before Christmas. The big Steve Morgan, our evil sales manager, gave me my first box of Japanese warlord infantry to paint. So I've been sticking models together and painting like Billy over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And have you enjoyed it?
Oh yeah, it's been a blast, particularly the vehicles. I particularly enjoyed painting the crazy vehicles that the Japanese came out with in World War II. So
there's some terrain there as well. And
well, I'll just go.
Interesting basing.
We've got a game tomorrow night, and it'll be the first time I've fielded, well, obviously these Japanese, but I've not fought with a Japanese army before, and they seem to have various characteristics which should be entertaining. So this is my army at present. I don't know how many points it is. I don't really play with points, and but if I go from it's fairly well balanced. If I go for, I made a jungly hill because I thought it looked quite Pacific. When you buy this self-propelled gun, it's based on our Chai-Ha plastic tank, and it's got a howitzer here, a heavy howitzer. You get a sprue with 2 tank turrets for the normal Chai-Ha tank. So I thought, well, I'll make those up anyway, and then I can make a bunker, so I can put these dug-in turrets here if ever I want to make a bunker complex. So I've kind of made this up and put some palm trees up there to make it look a bit more solid, and I can just take these on or leave them, but be a good objective. So what do we got? We got I think it's a 70mm little infantry gun there. Nasty little thing which they could drag around and carry around for close-up infantry support. This beast here is the engineer vehicle, called the SSK-1 KI, and they built about 100 or 150 of them during the war, the Japanese, based on a medium tank chassis, and it looks something very orky because they've got these grabbers at the front, which are really mine plows for either ploughing up mines, hydraulically raised or lowered, or for gouging out the jungle terrain. But it just makes it look very sinister. To make it more sinister, they had a machine gun in the front and up to 5 flamethrowers as well, around surrounding the whole vehicle. So it makes it rather entertaining in the game. Here on the back were all these rollers for putting in girder bridges and for bridging over gullies and terrain. So it's just an evil looking vehicle. So I'll find out if it's any good tomorrow night. I think you get maximum to only use 2 flamethrowers in one turn, unfortunately. So then I've got, I say that my lovely self-propelled gun, which I'm very happy with. So good for taking out infantry, and I think will give tankers a bit of a headache. We've got a standard Japanese squad here, which I'm very happy with. I've managed to put together 3 of the knee mortars, the 50mm light mortars that the Japanese infantry carried. They could quite often brigade them all together to make a rather nasty little unit which can shower high explosive onto the enemy. Some veteran jungle fighters here, all camoed up with foliage on them, looking very nice. An 80mm mortar to keep the Marines' heads down. Japanese heavy machine gun. Straightforward Japanese squad. And my command squad here with some of those dreadful secret policemen as well at the back. And radio man there. Another flamethrower. And a couple of guys equipped with anti-tank, handheld anti-tank weapons. Good luck with that, fellas. I'm told that everybody has to field a bamboo spear mob if you've got a Japanese army. These poor devils have been left behind, emaciated with their clothing falling apart. They've fashioned spears from bamboo, even attached some bayonets on the end of them, and are basically going to sacrifice their lives for the Emperor in a banzai charge, which is very frightening if you're on the receiving end of it. I made up a little sniper group there of a sniper and a spotter, and 2 separate snipers there on their own, because I think it's a Japanese rule that they can have a sniper on their own rather than working in teams. And then finally a medium anti-tank gun, which are based up with its own tree. A lot of this stuff comes from if you go to your local pet shop and you go into all the fish shop, the fish tanks, tropical fish, they have all this stuff for putting in the tanks.
Oh, I was wondering.
And that's where most of it comes from. These you can buy commercially, the palm trees, but they certainly make it. But a lot of foliage gives it the very much jungly feel. I mean, to be honest, there are no jungles in Japan, so so the Japanese didn't like the jungle any more than the Americans or the Brits, but they got to live with it and were well known for their field craft and wrapping their bodies around with leaves and everything else and using it for concealment. Made them very adept as jungle fighters. And great fun painting it. The officers wore these light grey or white shirts, and quite often the officers had white gloves as well. How immaculate is that? Including the tank commanders. And there's headbands you can put on them, a couple of headbands here, and personal body flags, and some conversions here. This guy did have a bamboo spear, but I gave him the Japanese flat battle flag instead, and a pistol in a holster, and a dagger behind him. I mixed in a lunge mine as well for taking out those pesky Shermans. So yeah, I think it looks nicely themed with the terrain.
I agree.
And let's just see how well it does. I'll hopefully be able to report. If there are any survivors left after Thursday night, I'll put a report in on the next.
Perfect.
On the next.
Do you plan on expanding this at all, or are you going to try something different next?
The only thing I need an anti-tank rifle, which would be a 2-man team. I think that would be irritating. And then finally, I will go for 3 of those tiny, tiny, tiny Japanese light tanks. I'm going to go for a unit of 3 with small tank guns, but enough hopefully to overwhelm marine positions. Your bazookas can only fire so often.
Just rounds things out.
So exactly. So that will be the last thing. Then I'll finish it off. That will be it.
That'll be it. And
great
on to the next.
Then on to the
Well, thank you so much, John, and have a great weekend, and we shall see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.